you just wanted to talk about, the Yankees, which I can't stand because, Philadelphia Philly fans can't stand the Yankees.
Right.
We can't stand them at all. So I want you to break down this Yankees team. Now I heard it's a rumor going out saying that they might be getting tested for all these hits and these home runs they be getting over the last weekend. Talk about it, Willie. Talk about it.
Well, a couple things. I mean, the Yankees, there's not a lot of fan bases other than the Yankees fan base that like the Yankees.
Mhm.
And I'm not even sure if all of the Yankees fan base like the Yankees. I personally hate them. They are in the same category for me as the Kansas City Chiefs, as
Yes,
well as the Dallas Cowboys and the Boston
yes,
Celtics.
yes.
But in terms of the Yankees, they got these torpedo bats out there that they're using, and I saw some fake news. And you have to understand, when I first saw this, I forgot that I saw two things actually. The first thing I saw was Aaron Judge had been popped for PED usage. And so immediately went to MLB Network, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, today's April Fool's Day, so they got me. And then the second thing was that the Yankees had traded Aaron Judge and who else was it? Oh, Aaron Judge, and I want to say Jazz Chisholm to the Dodgers for Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani. I'm like, okay, you got me once, but you're not gonna get me again. We all know that that's fake news. That would never happen. So
That's just absurd. That's absurd to put that trade out there.
yeah, there's no way. And The Rock means no way that would ever happen. But the Yankees, man, I mean, look what they did against the Brewers in the opening series of the season. When you talk about what they did to their big homie, Nestor Cortez, who of course was the Yankees with the Yankees the last several years, and he comes as the Brewers opening day starter, and they hang 20 on him. They hang 20 on the Brewers on opening day. So when you look at the Yankees and the fact that they hit 15 home runs in 3 games, which is a record. Aaron Judge hit 5 home runs in a 3-game set. It's not a record, but it's still worth noting how significant that is. And then for the Yankees also, they're going to have to win a lot of games, I think, in my opinion, when it comes to that. They're going to have to score a lot of runs because even though Carlos Rodon had a stellar outing in the opener, I don't really know how their staff, starting rotation is going to be without Garrett Cole. Now, Max Fried is there. They do have the rookie from last year, Luis Hill and Schmidt, right. and as I mentioned, Carlos Rodon. So they've got 4 bona fide starters. I actually picked Max Fried to win the Cy Young Award, and I don't quite know why I did that, but I did. And the Yankees, they're the Stankies, as the big little brother Dwayne Sutton. No love for the Stankies. That's right. But yeah, the Yankees. The only reason why I was rooting for the Yankees was because Jose Trevino, their catcher, was with them the last few years after being traded from the Rangers, and he was an all-star in 2024. He's been on the hashtag was a baseball show a couple times. I've been able to go out to his toy drive out in North Dallas, the northern part of Dallas, rather. That was pretty cool. So he was the only reason why I was even remotely rooting for them. But now he's in Cincinnati, so now I'm rooting for the Reds.
All right, so from what I'm seeing here, I don't know if you saw it on the Pat McAfee show about Sean Casey talking about these torpedo bats are actually totally legal. But I just want to play this clip because I'm not going to show it because they're going to say copyrights of ESPN and all that nature.
Right.
But I'm only going to play what Sean Casey had to say about these torpedo bats. Let me make sure y'all can hear it here.
Nothing yet.
Can you hear it?
Uh-uh.
All right. So let me just. I thought I was gonna be able to play it through my speakers, but that's just not going to happen here. So,
well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you, if you can send it to me and I can see if we can get it in here before the end of the show.
Well, I could actually do this then, because at the end of the day, share screen is the best thing that you could ever have on when it comes to StreamYard in itself.
Facts.
So that's the one thing I can say about the share screen with that. So I'm gonna see if we can hear it now. So this is what had to be said here. But turn this down a little bit.
Is
And
it going to
you can
get
hear it
banned
now.
or promoted in the MLB, do you think?
Well, it's definitely going to get promoted. I mean, it goes through all the specs. It's totally legal. I think the biggest thing they did here, because there's a bat performance lab that Marucci and Victus bats have down in Baton Rouge, and I think a lot of the players have been going there for years. And if you go back to Paul Goldschmidt in 2022, on the bottom of his bat, like, he had a bat like this, and at the bottom of his bat was like a puck shape. And everyone's like, oh, man, what's going on with Goldschmidt's bat? And what they found is when he was swinging, he liked a little more weight at the bottom. It felt better, going through the zone with the metrics. Well, what they found with the torpedo bat is all they did was for a guy like Anthony Volpe. So the sweet part of the bat is like right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they did was what they found was Volpe hits a lot of his contact more towards the label, right? More down here towards the label. So what they did was they took the barrel and they moved it down a little bit more and made this end part thinner. That's why it starts to look like a torpedo bat. So what they're saying is, okay, if he hits it on the barrel and when he misses more towards the label, or he's hitting it towards the label more. Why are we not putting that sweet spot of the bat, the density of the bat? Why aren't we moving it down on the bat? That's all they're doing. And then they have to figure out how to weigh it just right too, because at the end of the day, like for me, I like the 34-inch, 32-ounce bat. Like if I was going to move those metrics, I wanted to make sure it still felt good in my hands. So these are totally legal, Pat. And at the end of the day too, the old saying, it's the Indian, not the arrow, as far as like at the end, if the Yankees went out and weren't good, they'd be like, oh, these torpedo bats have to go. But the fact that they came out and hit so many pumps out the gate, next thing you know, it was like, what's up with these torpedo bats? So you still got to have guys like Aaron Judge and Jazz Chisholm and Anthony Volpe and Austin Wells swinging the bat for them to be good.
Enough said.
Well, the thing is that number one, it is legal. It may not be ethical, but it's legal.
It's definitely legal.
But here's the thing, though. This is the modern day version of the PED era. It's just that the bats are now on PEDs.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, so
the bats that's on drugs now.
I think what baseball is looking at, and this is my humble opinion, the game has progressed so much over the last 5 years, and I actually heard something the other day that they're going to implement the challenge for the balls and strikes next year. Now they tested it out in the spring training. It had mixed reviews. I personally don't have 1 foot in or out at this point, but what it's going to do is that it could do one of two things. It could be the best thing and it could be the worst thing at the same time, because now you could have these potential 11 to 10 games, these 15 to 14 games. And when Major League Baseball implemented the policy or the process to reduce the time of the games, well, that may take a hit. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
That may take a hit because when you have those 15 to 14 type games, the games are actually going to be longer. So It's a feast or famine thing for me. And with the specialization of rotations and bullpen people, they did implement some of the other changes, of course, where you can't just come in and throw one pitch and then you get taken out. You got to face, I think it's a minimum of 2 batters, or maybe you have to get a minimum of 1 out. I can't remember what it was. But then when you talk about the increased sizes of the bases, that part of the game, in my opinion, has made it that much more exciting. And what it has done is it has brought a level of athleticism back to baseball that we hadn't seen probably in the last 20 years or more.